Everyone, my name is Simi Baidwan, and I'm a global correspondent at Amazing TV. Joined with me here today is Melinda Meijer, who's a professional wildlife photographer, and Sammy Kariuki, a wildlife conservationist from Nanyuki, Kenya. Hi, everyone. Welcome.
Hey,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being. Melinda, you're based in California right now, right?
I'm in Los Angeles, yes.
And Sammy, you're in Kenya?
Yeah, I'm based in Kenya, Nanyuki.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's start with you first. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you became a wildlife conservationist?
I began my journey as a ranger with the Kenya Wildlife Service in 2005, where I developed a deep passion for wildlife conservation and protecting Kenya's rich biodiversity. Starting out as a young motivated ranger, I was trained in wildlife management, anti-poaching techniques, and community engagement. So over the years, I was committed to safeguarding Kenya's iconic wildlife, working in both national parks and wildlife natural reserves. So my dedication to protecting endangered species and supporting conservation efforts made a respected figure within our organization.
Wonderful. That's great.
Yeah.
What about you? Can you share with us what drew you to wildlife photography, especially documenting the endangered species?
The first time I went to Africa, I thought that I was, it's a trip of a lifetime. It's a dream vacation. And I was supposed to be there for 5 weeks. I ended up there for 6 months because I was so overwhelmed with the wildlife. Every place I went, from the whole East Coast to the Southern, Central. And I learned, having feet on the ground, I actually learned how many of these species are endangered, critically endangered. There's, I think like 10 or 15 years ago, white rhinos were down to 100. And they have been so steadily increasing the population, very, very conscious effort to making that happen. But I think my feet on the ground in all these different countries and different safaris that I've been on, and seeing that, what a disappointment it was to see a herd of 5 elephants, and in my head it's supposed to be 100. So every time I've been back to Africa, it's just been, wow, it shouldn't be like this. And the people that are killing these animals for the tusks or the horns, the pangolins, what is it used for? It is ridiculous. The horns are the rhinos with exactly materials, fingernail, as a horse's hoof. So why are you violently killing these animals that we need on the earth? We as a world, we need rhinos, we need elephants. We all depend on every species that's in Africa.
Is it true that the poaching of the husk itself, actually do not hold much value, that it's readily available in like other materials?
The horn?
Yeah.
It is. It's the horse's hoof. Our fingernail is the same material as our fingernails, literally.
The Asian community, they believe rhino horn contains medicinal purposes, which is they believe it cures cancer, which is a lie, because rhino horn contains the same component as our fingernails and hair, a component known as keratin. So that is a lie. They have this strong belief, because if you believe you have something, then you have it. If you don't have it, then you don't have it. So rhino horn contains components just like our fingernails and our hair.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Sammy, let's talk about like the white rhino conservation efforts. What is the current status of the northern white rhino population there in Kenya?
So to begin with, I can start with the early conservation status, where the first game laws were introduced in the late 19th to 20th centuries, focusing on regulating hunting rather than protecting wildlife. However, as the impacts of overhunting and habitat destruction became apparent, conservation efforts began to shift towards preservation and conservation. So the establishment of Kenya's first national park, such as Nairobi, Aberdares, the Olpejeta Conservancies, they aimed to protect wildlife and their habitats, reflecting and growing recognition of the importance of conservation. So by the mid-20th centuries, Kenya developed a more comprehensive approach to conservation, balancing wildlife protection with sustainability development. However, challenges such as poaching, human-wildlife conflict, and land use pressures continued to threaten the country's biodiversity, necessitating ongoing efforts and international support for conservation initiatives. But now there have been a lot of improvement in anti-poaching initiatives like innovation using technology and heightened anti-poaching activities, increasing of anti-poaching personnel, logistics. So the poaching really decreased by a really high margin, like a very high percentage.
Mm.
So the conservation status in Kenya, I can say it is like 80% now, far much effective compared to the last 5 to 10 years.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So, well, could you describe the efforts being taken to protect and, to protect the white rhino community?
Yes, I can state like Kenya's current conservation status is a mix of significant achievements for its rich biodiversity, including iconic species like elephants, lions, rhinos. So Kenya has established a network of national parks, reserves, and conservancies, which play a crucial role in wildlife protection and habitat conservation. However, challenges still remain, but like due to habitat loss, agriculture, urbanization. But most organizations have really formed a very strong bond in terms of anti-poaching initiatives. This is like additional of anti-poaching personnel, the equipments. They have also heightened the increase of using technology and innovation. So this has brought like a decrease or it has really encouraged a fueled decrease of poaching in Kenya.
And how are these programs funded?
So basically, like in Kenya, if I may go back a little bit, we have 3 phases here. We have national parks, which are managed by the Kenya Wildlife Service at the custodian of wildlife in Kenya. But the Kenya Wildlife Service, now we have the Kenya Wildlife Service National Parks, which are managed and protected by the Kenya Wildlife Service. We have conservancies, which are managed and protected by the NGOs or communities, but still the Kenya Wildlife Service play a role there because they're the custodian of wildlife. They still play a role. Then we have the national reserves, which are managed by the county level. But now all the stakeholdership, they have all come together. They have all brought all their resources together to try and fight poaching menace here in Kenya. So there's technology, innovation, and all these supply of equipment, anti-poaching personnel, and logistics. So they've all come together to join as a team to protect Kenya's iconic wildlife, and especially the critically endangered wildlife species.
Mm-hmm. And then which ones are the critical wildlife species that you would say right now in Kenya?
Wildlife critically endangered species, we have the IUCN. So these are categorized according to the nature of endemity. So we've got the black rhinos and the southern white rhinos and the northern white rhinos. Those are placed under Appendix 1 under the IUCN. These are critically endangered wildlife species. We also have elephants, which are critically endangered, and the African wild dog. So the list comes on and off, but now Appendix 2, you've got the threatened, and now we've got the vulnerable species. So, but the critically endangered and the one we normally concentrate on are the eastern black rhinos, which are critically endangered.
The eastern black. Okay.
Eastern black rhinos, yes.
Okay. And then, sorry, just you said the eastern black rhinos, you said the elephants, but the white rhinos are not part of this critically endangered species?
The white rhinos are also critically endangered because they just put in one bracket. These are rhinos. So they do not categorize like black, white, southern white or northern white, but all rhinos are critically endangered, even if it's the one-horned rhino in Asia and the Javan rhino, the ones found in India. They're all endangered rhinos. So that actually fall in Appendix 1 under the IUCN.
Okay.
And if I may specify, IUCN is the International Union Conservation of Natural Resources.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just want to get to know more about you.
Okay.
What's your personal experience been like photographing these white rhinos and other endangered species while in the wild?
When I first, in 2009, when I first saw them in Lake Nakuru, which is in the central Kenya, I didn't think much of it. You know, it's like, I love giraffe, I love lion, you know, all the pretty animals. And I just didn't think much of it. But through time, since 2009, learning more about the wildlife species and all that, learning that those rhinos in these years are now gone is disturbing to me, to think that in 13 years, they're gone. And knowing that, just that simple statistic is just, it just has driven me to like, you got to pay attention to these animals, because they're so important in the whole ecosystem. So that's where in my own personal drive, where it came from, was my visit in Lake Nakuru.
Mm-hmm. What's the current situation with the white rhinos like? To my knowledge, there's 2 left, 2 females left, correct? 2.
Sammy, do you want to kick in?
Yes, I'm going to kick in on that. So they were introduced in 2009 here in Kenya. They were moved all the way from Czech Republic here in Kenya in 2009. There were 2 females and 2 males. For the move to them to be reintroduced back into the wild. And they were introduced in an, it's known as a endangered species enclosure to see if they're going to reproduce. So unfortunately, one of the males died, and it was only left 1 male and 2 females. But now the 1 male left was known as Sudan. It was the only 1 male, standing male in the whole world. Sudan had problems with his hind limbs. They were very, very weak, so he could not mount. They introduced a southern white rhino, male, that could mate with the females and see if they're gonna reproduce. But unfortunately, they found out that the ovaries had a sheath, so they could not conceive. So they went ahead and tried to do the like the scientific way, which is IVF. It's advanced insemination method, and they produced the first 22 oocytes, these the embryos, test tube babies. And 2 months ago, they planted an embryo in one of the southern white rhinos to be a surrogate mother. But unfortunately, both of them succumbed because of a bacteria. It rained a lot, and they both succumbed because of a bacterial infection due to the rainfall. But they are still doing more scientific research to see how they're going to plant all these test tube babies, the embryos, into a southern white rhino to see and reproduce and to try and get more northern white rhinos.
Okay, so they're still
Yeah.
going to continue with IVF efforts.
Yeah, IVF efforts are still ongoing.
Okay, and then
Yeah.
the last remaining of the white rhinos, were they located at a zoo? That where were they pulled from before they went to Kenya?
They were always in Sudan, which is in part of East Africa and Kenya, north of East Africa, and others were in Central Africa, Chad, all those areas. But due to all the civil war and habitat destruction, they were all rescued and taken into Czech Republic, Vuzu Kralove Zoo in Czech Republic.
Okay.
Yeah.
What can the general public or someone that's new to learning about this situation, what could they do to help support this?
So most people, it begins with the in conservation. If I just go back a little bit, in conservation, you have to introduce the communities first. Communities play a huge role in conserving and protecting wildlife. So then after the communities, now you bring now on board all this like donations, people who want like goodwill, who want to contribute or donate to come and save this species because of the present generation without compromising the future generations. So they're trying to protect and conserve to bring them back so that the present generation can benefit and also the future generations can come and experience and learn more about the northern white rhinos that are actually extinct now, only two remaining in the whole world, but they can see their efforts that are made to bring them back into the wild.
And these two white rhinos, they are not open to the public, right? Like if anyone who goes to the conservationist, they're not able to view them.
People, it can't be because they are critically endangered, number one, and their protection and their feeding program is quite expensive. So that's where people donate, and others, if you come to view them, there's a fee that you pay that it's reinvested in feeding them, and also it's reinvested in the anti-poaching unit who are actually taking care of these two females remaining in the whole world. So people pay a fee to come and view them. And also before you enter into the conservation area, you have to pay a conservation fee, like an entrance fee, which is reinvested back to the people who are protecting them, and also they are reinvesting it back to the communities, because the communities play a huge role in protecting other wildlife that are living outside protected areas who are surrounding all this conservation area.
Have you guys faced any challenges protecting these endangered species?
Yes, there have been quite a number of challenges, as I can mention. To begin with is the poaching that has been happening because of the Asian market. They're believing in rhino horn, it has medicinal values. Secondly, there have been habitat defragmentation, where people are actually developing next to conservation areas, which is really affecting a wildlife movement. And whenever wildlife are restricted in one area, they develop stress and they diminish them. So the numbers actually deteriorate comparing to how they're going to be free ranging. So one of the challenges is people development. And secondly, it becomes now, it fuels the human wildlife conflict. Whenever wildlife are moving from one protected area to another using the buffer zones, they actually interact with humans, and now there's conflict there, and they like the communities try to kill them, chase them away, and stuff like that. So wildlife tends to remain in areas that are peaceful. So there's habitat defragmentation, there's human population, and there's land defragmentation.
Melinda, what do you think are thoughts on technology playing a role in photographing and retelling of like these issues and challenges that Sammy and these animals face?
I think that technology is very impactful because it allows people who have not been to Africa, who really don't understand what is going on, to see and to learn more about what is going on. And the videos and still photography, it can really spread the word with so much more impact, versus just like, oh, these rhinos are extinct. The video, all that technology just has so much more impact.
What are the current efforts to document what's going on right now with these white rhinos and what's happening at the conservation?
Sammy, you might know more about that. To my knowledge, I don't think that there's much documenting going on. And that is where, when I was there, I was trying to figure out a way to make this happen, because it's so important for larger people to help.
Actually, I wanted to add something about technology and innovation, how it plays a crucial role in wildlife conservation. It's actually by providing innovative tools for monitoring, protecting, and managing ecosystems through the use of GPS tracking. Now they've introduced drones, there are camera traps, and also conservationists can monitor animals' movement and behavior in real time, because of helping to actually prevent poaching and manage habitats more effectively. So with the data analytics and artificial intelligence assisting in identifying patterns and threats, so it enables more informed decision making. And also additionally, technologies facilitates community engagement through mobile apps and digital platforms, promoting awareness and collaboration in conservation efforts.
Do you think areas of improvement for like the local community to play in the conservation?
Yes, the community plays a very, very huge role, because 60% of wildlife in Kenya are found outside protected areas. And these are areas that are actually concentrated with the communities who live alongside protected areas. So they actually interact with wildlife, like 100% interaction with wildlife. Moving from one conservation area to another one, they are inside the buffer zones. But the communities actually protect wildlife because they benefit a lot from wildlife conservation management due to CSR activities. These are the corporate social responsibilities from organizations or all these conservancies. So they provide them with education through bursaries. That's education. They also provide health mobile clinics. They provide like agriculture, and also livestock keeping, improved livestock keeping. So it is a win-win between the conservation and the communities.
These initiatives, are they through NGOs or nonprofits, or who's in charge of these CSR initiatives?
The most in charge are the conservancies, which are the NGOs, but through donations. The NGOs get the donations that they reinvest now to the communities. And also these NGOs, through tourism income, all these hotels, all these people visiting protected areas, they pay a fee, which is reinvested back to the communities through all these initiatives that I've mentioned. Now the communities see like, we are gaining something from this conservation area. So we have to protect this wildlife for the benefit of the conservancy, and also we are benefiting protecting this wildlife. So it is a win-win. They are all working together.
Melinda, a question for you. How do like poaching or human wildlife conflict appear through your lens? Like, have you encountered any danger or resistance while you're documenting these issues?
No, I haven't, thank God. From my knowledge, the poachers are very violent and dangerous with weapons, and sometimes it's through snares or something like that. But I have not. The one thing I have seen was that was pretty amazing was down in Masai Mara down south. There's some rhinos down there, and they actually have like what you and I would be familiar with as like a SWAT truck. And that truck is the rangers, and they follow some particular rhinos down there. And if anybody tries to come in and poach, I mean, they got aerial surveillance and all that, and they have other rangers in the forest to make sure that the poachers stay away. But that was pretty fascinating just to see that. If you see that SWAT truck, you know that there's rhinos in the area. So that's the closest I've seen, and it was on the positive side.
Poaching has severely undermined wildlife conservation efforts, leading to devastating consequences for ecosystem and biodiversity. So many species such as elephants, rhinos, and big cats have been driven to the brink of extinction due to the illegal hunting and animals for their tusks, horns, skins, and other body parts. But this not only threatens their survival, but this species also disrupts the balance of the ecosystem, as the loss of key species can have cascading effects on the food chain. So additionally, poaching erodes the conservation gains, depleting wildlife populations despite ongoing efforts to protect and restore their habitats. Yeah.
Besides the restoration programs, are there any educational programs or partnerships aimed at raising awareness?
Yes. There have been a lot, especially from school groups, from the ground level, school groups, education, awareness, also to the adult level, and also to the community level. And we also carry a lot of stakeholder meetings, because you need the views from the community. What challenges they face, how you guys can team up together to try and protect and preserve all these wildlife species, not generally concentrating on the endangered species, but all wildlife. So we carry a lot of stakeholder meetings and engagements.
So, Sammy, you were a wildlife conservationist, but you were also a ranger, right? And then
yes,
you're a ranger at how do you pronounce it?
Ol Pejeta. Yeah, I started off in the Kenya Wildlife Service. These are the custodian of wildlife.
How did you get involved in Kenya's wildlife service?
So I was born and bred close to Lake Nakuru, and we used to go walk to the fence line, viewing wildlife, and I actually gained my interest. I was like, I want to be a wildlife conservationist. So after high school, I went to a wildlife conservationist college. I gained my bachelor's degrees in environmental science. Then I started off as a ranger because I didn't have experience anyway. So started off as a ranger, all this patrolling, trying to protect wildlife. Then I advanced my studies. I did my flying school just to support boots on the ground and doing wildlife sensors. Yeah, here I am now. So I started from the grassroots until where I am. Then I came and we started all this travel company, which I'm the director. And we do safaris, but we promote conservation and community. Yeah.
Oh, so when you were working at Ol Pejeta, what did your typical day for you look like?
So before I was promoted, we used to go in the field. and start our day patrol in a day. We used to have our own area blocks. It was almost like 5 square kilometers. And we had specific rhinos that were in that territory. So we used to wake up in the morning, have breakfast. 7 o'clock, we set out on foot patrol and go monitor rhinos and other wildlife and report any unique incidences. Maybe a carcass has been, we spotted a carcass, we report, there's different food spores. We report to the anti-poaching unit, and also monitoring the rhinos, identifying them, reporting to the control room, then come back for lunch, then go back in the afternoon patrol. So it was basically monitoring wildlife movement, not necessarily rhinos. Those rhinos were the key species, but also other wildlife that we used to monitor, and also any other unique occurrences.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can I add on to that a little bit?
Of course.
Yes, please.
So Sammy and I were on a safari a couple months ago in Opajeta, and we're driving. So Opajeta is massive. I don't know Sammy, do you know how many square kilometers it is?
Yeah, it's 340 square kilometers.
Okay. So it's massive, and I mean, you can drive for hours and not see any other cars, and it's amazing. But we're driving out in the middle of nowhere, and it's mountainous. It has tons of trees and bush and all that. And all of a sudden, like, here's like two rangers just walking. We're sitting there looking for lions and for elephants, and they're just walking right. And we're driving by, and Sammy knows them, and so we started a conversation. Well, have you seen any lions? Have you seen any? And they're like, well, we're just patrolling. We got to make sure that we see. And I'm like, these guys are on foot looking for the things that we're like secure in a car with. And then I think another day we were up there. Remember this, Sammy, that remember we're up further north, and we got that flat tire.
Yes. After big lions.
So we're again trying to find lions, and Sammy's changing the tire. And up comes another ranger that Sammy knows. And they changed the flat tire. And the ranger's like, yeah, the lions are right over here. So he hops in the Jeep with us, and we just drive for like 10 minutes. And he had already been walking there. Just one individual just walking through the bush. And it was amazing to me, because here we are confident that we're in a car, which still anything can happen while you're in the car. Probably not, but things can happen. But these guys are just walking like you.
Without a firearm.
Huh?
They're not even armed. Yeah,
they're not armed. But like Simi, it's like you and I would walk down the sidewalk in New York. You're walking through the bush with lions and God knows leopards, and like how do these guys do it? It's amazing to me, truly.
Yeah.
Because they're so dedicated. These rangers are so dedicated. They're out there looking for the snares. They're out there looking for the lions that are injured, or they really don't interfere with Mother Nature's process. If a lion is supposed to die, then a lion is supposed to die. But if there's a way that they can involve a vet to prolong its life, because it's so important for these animals, all of them, to live.
Is there anything that the general public can do, or a visitor, say someone who's visiting Opajeta, is there anything that they should be aware of, or is there anything they can do to help support these rangers' efforts?
Yes, that's why it comes in the donation process, where you can donate to support a ranger, because all these rangers come from the community. So there's donations from the clients, because whenever a client is coming in Kenya and they pay the entrance fee, they don't know their rangers there or anything, but that entrance fee, number one, it caters for their salary and all these running costs of the company. Then the others will be like, oh yes, now you can donate for a good cause, donate rangers, donate for rangers equipment. So it is a collective of different initiatives entrance fee. There's different activities that can be carried out inside the conservancy. There's the donation bit. So it is a collective of it. They've all brought everything into one.
How were you two introduced? How did you two meet?
I was on safari in 2018, and we met out on a game drive, and we were out on game drives, and we just have stayed friends ever since, and I appreciate his wealth of knowledge, his eagerness to help, his Sammy's fantastic. He's so flexible with trying to make everything happen. He's got contacts up north. I mean, we went 4 days up north. Rough road.
Yeah, it was asking, when are we meeting?
We went rough road for 4 days, and it was like 300 degrees, and there was no water, and we carried water in the truck, but his vast knowledge is, and then we went down to Savos, so down southeast. We went out when such a variety of things, and he had contact everywhere, and that's really valuable as a tourist to feel comfortable to going into someplace foreign, but someplace even more foreign. Like we went up to Turkana. So one of the interesting things between a white rhino and a black rhino, most people are not going to know this, is that a white rhino, its face is flat, versus a black rhino, the nose is pointed. The nose, not the horn, just the nose. But that flat face allows the white rhino to graze on the grass and to graze in the lower bush. The black rhino grazes higher because they can't get that pointed nose on the ground. So they have to clear the ground, the bush higher up. So they are both important to the ecosystem. They have their individual purposes. Simi, I want to thank you for taking this time. This is something so dear to my heart, and I'm so passionate about what these animals. I love animals. I just, so being there and having all these experiences out on safari is so important to me, and I'm so glad and happy to get the word out, and people should be able to go on safari and go see this and witness it for real. It's such a it really is a magical experience. So, and in that process of me going out on these trips, I've learned so much more about the importance of these animals and how important they are to our planet, not just Africa, not just Kenya, but to our planet. So that's where my passion lays. And if I can help other people learn about it and who are interested, and encourage people to go out on safari, hopefully in Kenya, but there's Tanzania, there's Zambia, there's Botswana. That's incredible. South Africa, Mozambique, Namibia. There's so many places to go, and it is just an exceptional experience. And then you meet people like Sammy and my other friend Jackson. They're just incredible people.
Thank you. Yeah, so my theme is, or I can say, is about empowering the local communities through ecotourism and conservation programs, and also providing jobs to them, education, infrastructure, while fostering environmental stewardship. So I also call for stronger partnerships and continued support for initiatives that promote biodiversity while improving the livelihoods of the communities living near protected areas.
Awesome.
And to add on to that, also the support we've been getting from Melinda. She really, I can say she's a steward to conservation, community prowess, stuff like that. And I really, really appreciate her effort. We met many years ago, but we are still here. And we are trying to push this force with a very positive impact.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well,
Yeah,
let's start out and spread some awareness. And I'm
yeah.
thankful, so thankful. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. We hope to have you again, Amazing TV. It was a true pleasure and honor to have you here, Melinda and Sammy. Thank you for taking the time to join us.
No, thank you, Simi. I appreciate that.
No, thank you, Simi. Thank you, Simi. And
And
thank you
to
for
Amazing TV.
me to meet you.